What's up guys, Jack here, and welcome back to the channel for my butcher block desk build. So I've had this idea to build a custom desk for a while. I've seen a lot of people on the internet build them with butcher block countertops, where they sand them, stain them, and then seal them, and then attach them to some aftermarket legs. I wanted my custom desk build to have built-in cable management, sit-stand functionality, and a built-in holder for my work laptop underneath the desk. So I completed this project over the course of a weekend, and I think this is a great alternative to spending $1,000 plus on a custom wood desk. I have relatively little woodworking experience, but this project is overall pretty simple. So let's take a look at the materials list that I use for this desk build.
All right, so we're at Home Depot and we're gonna grab a pack of these staining pads, a pack of Tack Cloths, which is for wiping up sawdust, some painter's rags, an old t-shirt will work here as well. I'd recommend grabbing at least one of these 3-inch brushes for applying your polyurethane. And then we're gonna need pre-stained wood conditioner. I got the Varathane brand here. For actual stains, there's a ton of colors. I ended up going with honey, which is a nice dark brown that has a little bit of red undertone in it. And then for our polyurethane finish, I ended up going with the semi-gloss here. This is a nice balance between the two options. For sandpaper, I grabbed a pack of 120, 220 grit, and then a 320 grit sponge for finishing. You're also gonna need a Sawhorse in case you don't have one. This makes working on the tabletop way easier. And the actual butcher blocks are gonna be located in the kitchen area. There's two different types here. The countertop is gonna be a little bit thinner and longer, and the island is gonna be way deeper. Today they had Birch, but I've also seen Acacia at Home Depot before, and you're just gonna wanna sort through them to find one that doesn't have a lot of knots. So for the legs here, I went with this Froman sit-stand frame from Amazon. This comes in at $270, and the key feature here is that it has dual motors, meaning that it can support up to 300 pounds. This pair of legs also has 3 height tiers, meaning it can go all the way up to 51 inches. I'm 6'4", and this is plenty of height for me to stand at my desk. Next up is the Vidor under-desk cable trays. This is a 2-pack I got for $35. This comes with all the hardware you need to install them, so you just screw them into the underside of your desk, and then you can just dump your cables inside. And then lastly, I got this 3-pack of brackets for holding my work laptop. Again, this comes with all the hardware you need, so you just measure out your laptop size, screw the brackets in, and then you can just slide your laptop in and out. And I'll leave a link to all 3 of these products from Amazon in the description below. So for the actual build portion here, I'm just gonna be using a piece of scrap wood I had laying around. I had already built this desk before I wanted to record the video, so I'm just gonna show you guys the finishing process on this little piece of wood here. But we're gonna start off with some 120 grit and just go to town on this thing, making sure you get all the edges and sides, and then you're gonna wanna go ahead and flip it over and make sure you get the backside as well. Once you finish with the 120, you can go ahead and go over everything again with the 220. On a piece as large as the butcher block island, you're definitely gonna wanna spend at least 30 minutes to an hour getting this block as smooth as possible. And then after you're done with the sanding, just go ahead and take one of those tack cloths, wipe off all the sawdust, and we're ready to go ahead and apply our wood conditioner. So just get your brush out, and we're gonna apply a thin, even coating here. This is really just to soak into the wood, and it's gonna make sure that our stain applies super evenly. This only needs about 30 minutes to dry, and after that period's done, it should look something like this. So after your wood's fully conditioned, you can go ahead and get your can of stain out. Again, I'm using the honey color here. We're just gonna take our staining pad, dip a little corner of it into the can, and then go ahead and apply that in a thin layer on top of the wood. Again, light, thin coatings are gonna be your friend here. You can always go ahead and apply more coats if you wanna darken the color. On my desk, I think I did about 3 coats in total, and that left me with a nice medium brown that wasn't too red. I would recommend waiting a few hours between coats just to make sure it's fully dried, and then go ahead and apply your second coat the same way you did the first, spreading it evenly and making sure that everything's covered. And I'm just staining the top side of this piece of scrap wood here, but on your desk build, you're gonna wanna make sure you get the edges and the undersides as well. And after 2 coats of stain, this is what it looks like. Here's a comparison of what the underside looks like, which is fully unstained. So give that final coat of stain a few hours to dry, and then we can go ahead and apply our polyurethane. This is gonna seal in that color and also apply a semi-glossy protective finish. Make sure you stir up your polyurethane before you use it, then go ahead and use a brush to apply it in a thin, even coating. Again, multiple thin coats is gonna do a lot better than one thick coat here. So just be patient and make sure you're applying it evenly. And then make sure you go ahead and wipe off the excess on the edges here. Again, I'm just showing you guys on the top, but you're gonna wanna do this on the sides and underside as well. The polyurethane needs about 8 hours to cure between coats, but after that first coat's done, go ahead and take that 320 grit sanding sponge, and we're just gonna knock down the bubbles on top of the finish. After you've sanded that smooth, go ahead and take your tack cloth, wipe off any excess dust, and then we're gonna repeat the same process with our polyurethane again. Remember, make sure to stir it before you apply, and we're just going with another thin, even coating here. Again, being sure to wipe off the excess after you're done with each coat. The first couple layers are really just gonna soak into the wood, and it's not really gonna have that shine you're looking for until you get to about the 3rd coat. So on the 2nd coat here, you can see it's picking up some gloss, but it's not fully even. You can see there's a lot of raised spots there. So before applying that 3rd coat, make sure you take out that sanding sponge again, knock down those high points, wipe it off with the tack cloth, and then go ahead and apply your 3rd layer. So in total, I did 2 coats of stain and 3 coats of poly on this piece of scrap wood. You can see the finish here. It turned out super nice, but again, going back to what I said about picking a nice piece of wood is really critical, because the finish is really gonna emphasize any of those
imperfections in your block. And you can see just comparing it to my desk here, it's pretty similar in color. I was obviously a little bit more careful with my desk though, just making sure I was applying that polyurethane evenly, sanding down the high points, and just giving everything proper time to cure before doing more coats. So after you're done with the top, you're just gonna take the legs, assemble them, and screw them into the bottom of the desk. The legs I recommend come with all the mounting hardware you need, so you shouldn't need to purchase any extra screws. After that's done, we're gonna go ahead and add our accessories. So my cable management trays, my mounting brackets for my work laptop, and I also had this USB hub switcher to switch my USB devices between my two computers. In total, the kitchen island here is 74 inches wide by 39 inches deep. I really like having that extra depth just for extra space to work on projects. One other thing to call out, since this is a sit-stand desk, make sure to leave some slack in the cables that are gonna be attached to the wall. So your motor cables, you wanna leave some slack there, and anything else, like my speakers here, for example, I left some slack in the cables just to account for the sit-stand height. And with that, your butcher block desk should be completed, and hopefully it turned out something like this. So overall, I'm really happy with how this desk turned out. I love the desk being 39 inches deep. It gives me a lot of extra space when I want to film on top of my desk or work on other projects like PC building. And this checked off all of my boxes, offering sit-stand functionality, built-in cable management trays, and a spot for my work laptop. If you guys have any other questions about this desk, leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.